Let's keep moving into the final game of round 16, and then we'll jump into Origin as discussed. But you have the Cronulla Sharks taking on the Canterbury Bulldogs. Obviously, for the Sharks, I'll throw it across to you. Royce Hunt is out injured. They do keep Nico Hines, but talk to me about this lineup.
Yeah, what a world of. It was just a meme I seen, and it was like someone who's not an NRL follower asking, "Is NRL tipping easy?" And the meme was, "Well, the Sharks destroyed the Cowboys destroyed Storm, but then the Storm destroyed Sharks." So it's a little triangle of wins there. What a world of head noise Nico Hines is going to be in after receiving the news of not even making a bench or an extended team, like 18th man call up back up to New South Wales. Hopefully he can just put last week's misery of playing the Storm out of his head, and he can come into this fresh against a side who are trying their hardest, as I said, against from last week on Monday against Parramatta Eels. Hopefully they can turn it around and charge on into September, because at the moment they sit, fifth on the ladder, but really they sit eighth. So William Kennedy, Sion Katoa, Jesse Raymond, CFI Talakai, Ronaldo Mulatalo, Matt Moylan, Nico Hines, Oregon Kafusi, Blake Brayley, Brennan Hammond-Uele, Bretton Nakora, with Teague Wilton, Dale Funakane, Cameron McInnes, Wade Graham, Jack Williams, Tom Hazelton, Connor Tracy, Braden Trindle, Trody Rudolph, Daniel Atkinson, and Jesse Colo. I'm going to call you Cole. Sorry, mate. I can't pronounce that Q. Good team on paper. I think this is going through a rough period at the moment. Sit fifth on the NRL ladder. They can turn it around from here. I do see them higher on the ladder come the end of August. So not too much negative for the Sharks. It's everything. All systems are running well. Just a bit of a hiccup month of football, but should get into it from here on in.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to agree with you now. Obviously, talking about Nico Hines, we talk about a head mess. He has gone through everything that did happen with his mum. He's then come in. He got put on for 12 minutes due to a HIA. He didn't perform the best. He copped a bit of hate. He then went down.
I think he's just unlucky.
Well, yeah, he was just unlucky. I mean,
I just think him as a whole. I think he's just unlucky that he hit his career best form at the time where Nathan Cleary, Luai, and Teddy are probably a sort of a cement solid picks for Origin, because those are the position he plays brilliant at. Cleary's out, so I thought maybe they'd put him in and they just replace the 14 spot and give him this chance to show why he should be knocking down the door for an Origin spot, even if next year they go a Cleary Hines combo or a Cleary Luai Hines at fullback role or something, or whatever it is. Even if he has to play 14, I'll get to my thoughts about Nico Hines and State of Origin when we talk about the Origin wrap up and then preview for Game 2. But as I said last week, it's just one of those ones you just got to toss it in the bin, because it's just a bad weekend around the whole park, and you just want to forget about that and move on.
Yeah, I think, like I was saying, that's perfect points. But obviously, from Nico, okay, you didn't have the best debut. You probably weren't used correctly. You should have had a lot more game time. You didn't. You're probably in better form than Luai. You didn't get that chance. So be it. I think it was very hard, and we'll talk about this more in, obviously, the review for Origin and preview. I thought it was very hard for Nico to get picked when post-Origin you get done by Brisbane. during, obviously, the week after, you get torched by Melbourne. If you look up the two sides that kind of make up that Queensland big players, it's probably those two teams. So you went up against the teams, you lost those battles. Whether you think Mitchell Moses, which we'll talk about, is the right decision, if there was other options, I found it very hard to see Nico was going to get picked in the 7, but I did think he would at least get that 18th man. Freddie's gone in a different position. We'll talk about that soon. But let's look at their opponents. It is the Canterbury Bulldogs. You've got Hayes Perham, Jacob Carraz, Jake Avarillo, Paul Alamotti, Braden Burns, Carl Olaapu, Matt Burton, Chris Patolo, Reid Mahoney, Tavita Pengai Jr., not picked in Origin, so he will play this game. You've got Jaden Ockenbaugh, Jacob Preston, Harrison Edwards, Khalid Rajab, Curtis Morin, Max Kin, Corey Waddell, Jarrell Skelton, Kyle Flanagan, Famaanu Brown, Jackson Topany, and Franklin Pele. So it is a side that obviously for the Bulldogs, you are missing Josh Adokar. Kyle Flanagan did have a cracking game from all accounts in New South Wales Cup. Whether that means he's more inclined to then, whether that means he might end up obviously with his dad at the Dragons now that Mr. Flano has been appointed to take over at the Dragons, we'll just have to wait and see. But just like at the Roosters, it looks like he is a bit out of favour in this combination. Obviously, like I said, you've got Carl Olapu, Matt Burton. That's your halves partnerships. They're not going to play Origin. I don't see how Kyle Flanagan gets back into this team. Barring injuries, I think they even play Reynolds over him. But it is, and I think we're going to be on the same page here in predictions. I think it's going to be a cracking game. If Nico was out, I'd give the Dogs a bit of a chance. With Nico in, not getting picked for Origin, wanting to prove a point, I've gone the Sharks 13+, and the odds are $1.20 to $4.50. For the Cronulla Sharks, they're the 4th best ranked attack, the 7th best ranked defense. For the Bulldogs, they're 15th and 15th in attack and defense. So Baxter, Sharks 13+, I think they tally this up. I think they go even further. They blow them off the park, and I think we kind of see what happened with Melbourne. They got blown out. They came in. They absolutely destroyed the team they played next. And I think we could see the same thing here on Sunday afternoon. So Baxter, 13+ for me. Talk to me about your tip.
Yeah, I originally had Sharks 1 to 12, but I've changed it to 13+. Given that we've just talked about all our good points of why the Sharks should dominate this game, not to say it won't be a cracking game, as you said. There's not much more to say, but Dogs just keep grinding it because, sure enough, they're in the games. They're in the contest. They're not like getting blown off the park like 40-0, 50-0 every week. They're in the contest. They're scoring. They know how to try and find the try line. They know how to cross the line. They know how to convert points. They know how to stay within games. And I just feel like if it feels like it's not going their way, they just sort of give up for a second. And then if you give up for a second on the field, the other team's going to make you pay. And just keep holding on, keep grinding out, because I in a world in the near future, I see a Dogs being a team that sniffs for that 8-7 spot in the years to come. And Cameron Serrato will have this team up and firing. Next year they get the centre from Stephen Crichton from the Penrith Panthers. So that's a positive. You know, he could add to the squad, especially in the centres. If not play fullback, which is apparently reported that he's going to be playing because of the money he will be getting. But yeah, as I said, just keep grinding out. Nothing negative really, because you're just ticking the boxes. You're training hard from all reports. You're playing hard. You just lack some concentration, but you can work on that.
Yeah, I think if you're a Bulldogs fan, like you said, you are obviously getting Critter in next season. He will play fullback. You are also doing this without one of your big recruits from this year in Kicker, who is injured. So I guess if he can come in, he can stay healthy when he comes back. You add Critter. I'm not going to say it's going to be another Penrith, but you do have Phil Gould. And as much as everyone makes jokes about the 5-year plan that took a little bit longer, we're starting to see what he did at Penrith now, where they've gone back to back. And we said on this podcast, it's very hard to write him off for a three-peat. we're starting to see that team click in their gear again. Players are coming out, juniors are coming in and performing. My mate Lindsay is doing the same thing. We bag him out all the time. Well, I do. You're pretty nice to him. I boot him every single time he touched the ball on the weekend. But
I cheered.
He comes in, he does a job. Someone goes down, Cogger comes in, he does a job. Obviously, Salmon can now come in, he can do a job while Lua's away. They just seem to have a massive, massive group of juniors coming through. So it is good to see. But Baxter, we are in agreement. We're both going to Sharks 13 plus. I think it is more misery, obviously, for the Bulldogs this week. But like you said, they are trending in the right direction. They're signing the players they need. They've signed the coach they need. They just need to back him. They need to make sure that they're not going to get rid of him too early. Give him a couple years. Let's see what he can do. We've got to remember that he is a rookie coach. He's only ever been an assistant. So let's see how he does. But Baxter, that's it for round 16. Thank you for joining me, mate.